Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon, not here with Geeky Sparkles in this video, but we're going to talk about Disney CEO Bob Iger. Bob Iger coming out against the strike. The writers and the actors in Hollywood who are so oppressed, who are so underpaid. Bob Iger says their demands are not realistic, and he just signed a contract through the end of 2026. He's going to be the Disney CEO for the next couple of years, and he's telling them, well, basically what we've been telling them and what we've been telling you, that a lot of the demands are not realistic in this current economic climate. So we're going to talk about this. This is going to be a gut punch to a lot of Hollywood types because Disney is one of the biggest players out there, right? And they're like, yeah, you're asking for the moon. It's not going to happen. It's disturbing. It's disturbing. He calls it disturbing. So before you get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get a woohoo when Geeky comes back. She's out today. You're stuck with me. Normally she chimes in on the dismal Disney videos, but yeah, this is crazy. This is coming from Variety. And again, remember, just yesterday it was announced that Bob Iger signed through the end of 2026 to be the Disney CEO. And if this is the tone he's setting, I think a lot of actors and writers are in for a very rude awakening at the House of Mouse. So coming from Variety, Disney CEO Bob Iger says writers and actors are not being realistic with the strikes. It's very disturbing to me. Very disturbing to me. During an appearance on CNBC's Squawk Box on Thursday morning, Disney CEO Bob Iger said the writers and actors unions going on strike in Hollywood are not being realistic with their expectations. Speaking to CNBC's David Faber from the Sun Valley Conference in Idaho, he can go to Idaho, but he can't go to Florida. In Idaho, Iger commented on the ongoing Writers Guild of America strike and imminent decision for SAG-AFTRA. It's very disturbing to me. We've talked about disruptive forces in this business and all the challenges we're facing, the recovery from COVID, which is ongoing. Things are not completely back. This is the worst time in the world to add to that disruption. This is exactly what we've been saying. Maybe we should run Disney. I should run Disney. There we go. No, this is exactly what we've been saying. You know, we said that if you can get that money, right? But you're asking for more money when your bosses don't have the amounts of money that they had just a couple of years ago. I understand any labor organization's desire to work on behalf of its members to get the most compensation and be compensated fairly based on the value they deliver. We managed as an industry to negotiate a very good deal with this Directors Guild that reflects the value that the directors contribute to this great business. We want to do the same thing with the writers, and we'd like to do the same thing with the actors. There's a level of expectation that they have that's just not realistic, and they're adding to the set of the challenges that this business is already facing that is, quite frankly, very disruptive. What he is saying, in particular with, I believe, the writers, is a lot of their demands were ridiculous. They were like, we have to have so many people in the writer's room. We have to make sure that there's a certain ethnic or diversity makeup in the writer's room. And you're not allowed to use any AI assistants at all. I think that was one of the demands, I think. Don't quote me on that. But, Iger's like, yeah, that's not realistic because maybe we can produce a show with like a skeleton crew of writers and, whatever. But if you're saying we have to have 20, then that just adds to the cost of the show, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And let's be honest, a lot of the writers now are not good. They're not good. And they're not as poor as they were trying to make it out to be either. If you look into the compensation, and people have done spreadsheets on the compensation for unionized writers in Hollywood, for WGA writers, they're probably making more money than you or I are making, or at least, yeah. I mean, they're not broke. And I understand if you're working on a show that's making a ton of money that you want your cut. I completely get that. But if you're a grunt writer and not a showrunner, you don't have the bargaining power. So they're going to make sure that the directors get theirs first, because a lot of these directors are also showrunners. They're also writers themselves. And then they're going to kind of work their way down. I think writers are going to get the short end of the deal in all this. It's expected that SAG-AFTRA, the actors union, will go on strike Thursday morning after contract talks concluded Wednesday night without a resolution. This will effectively halt all scripted film and TV production, much of which had already been delayed due to the ongoing writers' strike, which is in its third month. Actually, I think the studios are kind of glad, because they're using this opportunity to cancel a lot of shows that were not bringing any value. SAG-AFTRA has not gone on strike in over 4 decades, and the last time both unions were striking concurrently was in 1960. Iger said that while he respects the right of the unions to get as much as they possibly can in compensation for their people, I do agree with that. I think if you can make that money, get it. But you also have to realize that there are limits, and you have to realize your employer's side of it too, which is like, we only have so much money, right? They must be realistic about the business environment and what this business can deliver. Yeah, Disney just had a bunch of box office failures. They just wrote off Willow and some other Disney Plus shows because they failed so badly, it was worth more to them to just take them off the platform completely. And you want more money. You never ask your boss for a raise when they're contemplating layoffs, you know? Like, you're not going to get more money if they're having to lay off people. It doesn't happen. Iger continued, it will have a very, very damaging effect on the whole business. And unfortunately, there's huge collateral damage in the industry to people who are supportive services, and I could go on and on. It will affect people. It will affect the economy of different regions, even because of the sheer size of the business. It's a shame. It really is a shame. Iger's comments come the day after it was announced that he will remain the CEO of Walt Disney through 2026. In a shocking move, Iger returned as Disney CEO in November 2022, less than a year after his exit from a 15-year run at the helm. Now he goes on to talk about their linear business, ABC and Disney Channel. Disney Channel, which is failing miserably now. I think Disney Channel has like a couple 100,000 regular viewers, down from like the millions it had a few years ago. He said it may not be core to Disney. When Faber suggested the idea of a sale, Iger said the company will be open-minded and objective about the future of those businesses. So we're talking Disney Channel and FX and some of their other, and ABC. So they might sell ABC, they might sell Fox or FX. That's interesting. There clearly is content that they create that is core to Disney, but the distribution model, the business model that forms the underpinning of that business and that is delivering great profits over the years is definitely broken. We have to call it like it is. When I came back, one of the things I discovered was that the disruptive forces that had been preying on that business for a while are greater than I thought. It's eye-opening. Iger addressed presidential hopeful and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' attacks on Disney over the company's opposition to Florida's quote-unquote, and they put in quotes too, quote-unquote, don't say gay bill. The notion that Disney is in any way sexualizing our children, quite frankly, is preposterous and inaccurate, Iger said as the head of Disney. Of course he did. In April 2022, DeSantis signed a bill eliminating Disney's special independent district. A few days later, Disney sued DeSantis for retaliating against the company's freedom of speech. Faber also asked Iger about the neo-Nazi demonstration that occurred outside Disney World in June. It was horrifying, quite frankly, and it's concerning to me that anyone would encourage a level of intolerance or even hate, frankly, could become a dangerous action. Yeah, that was pretty wild. We didn't even cover that. We're like, I'm not covering that one. So, look, again, this goes back to a lot of what we're saying, where you don't ask your boss for a raise when times are tough, and these writers don't understand the reality of the situation they're in. And I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to make sure that they get theirs, in before lock, right? But look what happened with Vice. Those writers at Vice were union, and they still got shit canned, a lot of them, and a lot of them are still fighting for their compensation. So it doesn't really guarantee you anything. What it is going to guarantee from the studio side is that they will greenlight far fewer projects, because if they have to hire 20 of these guys, to screw in a light bulb, when it would only normally take 2 or 3 writers maybe to produce a show, and probably be a lot more consistent, because you're not dealing with running everything through a freaking peanut gallery, through a gauntlet. They're not going to greenlight more shows. There's going to be less work for everybody. Or you might have some people get paid more, but there's going to be less work all the way around. Just economics, right? That's economics. So yeah, Bob Iger not on board with the strike. So not really surprising, but I guess Disney isn't as progressive as you thought they were. I guess they're not. So I'm going to wrap this up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later. Help support the channel. Go to thereef.support and get early access to podcasts, videos, and other content. That's thereef.support.